Happy day to all. This is Dr. Shakila, Associate Professor from Jamal Institute of Management, Jamal Mehmet College, Trichy. Now we are going to discuss about the least cost method. In case of least cost method, the first concept we have to find out is whether the problem is a balanced or unbalanced solution. For finding the balanced or unbalanced problem, the first thing is we need to add the total of supply, and we have to add the add the demand. So if the demand total is equal to the supply total, then this method is called as a balanced. As for this, in supply, after totaling, I am receiving as 1200, and demand also it's 1200. So I am decided as it is a balanced method. So I had allocated and I selected 1. So I comparing the 350 with the 300. So the lowest value is 300. I had allocated and find out the difference. Likewise, here I am having 2 and another one is 2. So I am selecting O2D1. So that the amount is 250 and the supply is 400. So I am selecting 250 as the lowest value and find out the difference, that is 400 minus 250. I am receiving as 150. After that, here the third allocation is 2. Again I am selecting which one is the lowest value. The 200 is the lowest value, so I am comparing and find out the difference. The fourth allocation is 3. So I am having 2 3s here. So according to our decision, we can allocate to anyone. So I am selecting O3 and D2 and comparing the total with the 50 and 300. So I am selecting 50 as the lowest value and find out the difference as 250. And one is 3. So the total of 3 is 400 and 250. So I am selecting as 250 as the lowest value and find out the difference as 150. So finally here in O1 or O3, D1, D2, D4, there is no total. So I'm selecting 5. So here the total is 150 and here also 150. So finally I am allocating the 150. So after the allocation has been completed, we need to find out the total cost root. So how we are going to find out the total cost root is, we have to select the allocated values like O1, D2, O2, D1, O2, D3 and O3, D2, O3, D3, O3 and D4. So that's the same thing I had wrote here, and as a total we have to add all these things. How we are going to find out the value is, here in case of O1, D2, we have 2 values like 300 and 1. So these 2 should be multiplied. And O2, D1, we have 250 and 2. So that should be multiplied. Finally, I had find out the answer as 300 into 1, 250 into 2, 150 into 5. Likewise, and find out the value of 2850. So this 2850 will be considered as an initial feasible solution. After finding these initial feasible solution, we have to move on for the UV method. This UV method is also called as a Modi method. So for applying the UV method, the same initial table we have to be used. Here, instead of O1, O2, O3 and D1, D2, D3, D4, I am going to use U1, U2, U3, V1, V2, V3, V4. So why I am using U1 or V? As the name itself says, it is an UV method. So likewise I had applied and set the table. See, so U1, U2, U3, V1, V2, V3. So before selecting these things, before applying these things, we need to find out how many numbers of allocation. That is, the formula is m plus n minus 1. So what the m stands for is number of rows. So here the number of rows is 3 and n stands for number of columns. Here n stands for 4. Minus 1. So finally I am receiving as 6. So the total allocation here is 6. The next thing is we need to find out the values of u1, u2, u3, v1, v2, v3 and v4. So how I am going to find out the values of u1 or v1? So for that we need to select the allocated cells and apply the formula as ui plus vj is equal to cij. So what the ui stands here is the rows and vj is columns and cij is the values which is inside the cell. So the first allocation here is u1 and v2. So I am assuming u1 as 0. So u1 is 0 plus v2 which is equal to 1. See here. u1, that is the allocated cell is o1 d2. So u1 plus v2 equal to 1. So u1 is 0 plus v2 is equal to 1. So I am receiving as 1. Likewise, the next one is here it is O3 D2. So why I am finding O3 and D2? Because I already find out the value of V2 as 1. The value of V2 is 1. So automatically I am able to find out the value of U3 and V2. The formula is U3 plus V2 is equal to 3. So I am receiving U3 as 2. So likewise we have to find out for all the variables, and I had received these as u1 is 1, u1 is 0, u2 is 4, u3 is 2, v1 is minus 2, v2 is 1, v3 is 1 and v4 is 0. So the next thing we have to move on for unallocated cells. The formula is ui plus vj minus cij is equal to pij. So as already I insist that ui is the rows and vj is columns and cij means the values of allocated cell, but here it is values of unallocated cells, and pij is penalty values. Here the unallocated cells are u1 v1, that is o1 d1, o2 d3, o3 and d4, and o2 v2, o2 d4 and o3 d1, that's all. So these are the unallocated cells. So now I am moving to find out the values of o1 d1, because here it is an unallocated cells. So like that, O1 for finding this unallocated value is ui plus vj minus cij is equal to penalty value. So here u1 is 0 plus v2 is minus 2 and cij is 3, which I am receiving as minus 5, which is the penalty value. So for repeating these steps, we have to find out the values. See here I find out as minus 5, minus 6, minus 4, minus 1, minus 5 and minus 8. So here I am receiving all as a negative value. So finally I had said that I am reaching a optimum feasible. So find out all the values as negative. So I am going to reach a optimum feasible solution. So the next thing is we need to find out the total root. That is how I am going to find out total root is O2 D1, because here only I had allocated, and plus O1 D2 plus O2 and D4. So like this I had allocated as O1 D1 plus O2 D1, O2 D3 plus O3 D2 plus O3 D3 plus O3 D4. So here I have allocated as 250 into 2, 300 into 1. I have found out as 300 into 1 plus 250 into 2, the same thing, and find out the optimum feasible solution as 2850. So this is about an UV method. Thank you.